minute, fella. Look here.
Stand by.
One for C-Lab, two for Draw Eagle, three for Wolverine to round out the trio. In this episode, everybody dies.
Broadcasting live from inside the Power Band. This is the Blah. In this episode, everybody dies
and gets reborn
and gets resurrected. I'm your host, the Wolverine, along with we should have Mehtrix names.
Yeah.
Along with my friends, Jarhigo.
No.
And C-Lab forever.
I won't do it. I love it. What's up?
Welcome to the show, folks. This week we're tackling the super controversial film. Controversial for us. Mehtrix Resurrections. Starring, you already know who's in the movie. Let's get...
And Dr. Manhattan.
Let's get to it. High level, if there is such a thing.
Cav, you go first.
You sure you want me to go first? Because I'll say some good things.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Let's do a good sandwich around Ben.
All right, that's good. I like the effort here, okay?
Yeah.
The effort to do an original story. Like, I cannot take that away from anybody here. And as much eye-rolling as I was doing in the very beginning, I was genuinely surprised at the reveal, because it was like a couple stage reveal, almost like a rocket, blasting off.
Mm-hmm.
And I dug that. And I really kind of dug where the story went. They could have really just kind of rehashed more of what we've already seen. And we've seen these like sequels come out years later, and we've seen that happen, certainly with Star Wars. Boom, first death. Even though this entire show should be classified as a death. So I think that like they came up with an interesting original story. I found, like I do nowadays, some of these like new actors, I find are just sort of ugh. And there was some cool cameos by some old characters, which I dug, and there was some definitely some good fight scenes, and there were some really cool concepts in the movie too, man. Concepts about, technology and, the way the whole thing kind of doped out that I liked. I still, it's not like amazing. It's not like the first one, but I definitely enjoyed it. Like I ended up having to watch this a lot at work. So, as we've talked about before, when we're watching material for the show, like sometimes you're just like, I'm not in the mood to watch this. I couldn't wait to like watch the next bit. So I was genuinely drawn in by the story, and I was curious to see what was going to happen next, The resolution, I don't know. Don't know really what to think about that. Definitely down with freaking NPH in this movie, dude. But,
yeah, he was good.
That's I'll leave it at that for now.
Word. Well, I'm glad that we're gonna good sandwich, because I don't really agree with a lot of the things he said, but I feel good about it in other ways. So that's interesting.
Oh, okay. Fuzzy feelings.
Benny, what do you reckon, bud?
Let's take it over to Benny.
I was kind of interested in the first act, and then I completely lost interest as the movie went on.
Okay.
It's just a meta commentary on what the fuck is going on in Hollywood right now with remakes and reboots and all that kind of shit. And it's like Lana Wachowski was like, it's like, oh, well, if you don't do it with us, we're just going to do it without you, that kind of a thing. So she just did like, I don't even know. It's interesting, I guess. It's an interesting take on doing a movie. Like instead of falling into the traps, you just build the traps and then set them off yourself, like walk into them self-aware. I don't know. I didn't like watching it. It didn't ruin the franchise for me. I don't care. Like, I just don't fucking care about this movie. There's a theory going around that it was made bad on purpose, and I think that's absolutely true.
Let's explore that later.
Yeah.
There's nothing to explore.
I'm curious about that.
It's true.
About that.
That's the exploration.
All right. That was good. Okay. Chadwick?
You leaving it there, Benny?
Yeah, I'm leaving it there.
Okay. I think that it was like, I don't know, the more that the movie unfolded, I ended up watching it twice just because I watched it, I don't know,
Oh, you poor thing.
more than a week ago. And I was like, I'll just watch it last night and just kind of freshen up a bit. I enjoyed the first watching a reasonable amount. I would definitely say that this movie is better than Matrix 2 and 3, which probably doesn't say much because they're heaping piles of shit. I'd rather watch Airborne 3 times in a row than watch Matrix 2, 3, and 4.
I would definitely do that.
I don't know. Like, there was some interesting things here from time to time. It was somewhat nostalgic to see some of the old characters back in action, even though it was a little bit weird. As it unfolded, I really kind of got the feeling that it was like a really highly produced fan movie, like a movie made by a fan. And while I get that Lana made it and some of the backstory, which I didn't know at the time of viewing, but I read about it afterwards, like the weaknesses of it were that it was like a bit too meta for its own good and a bit too self-aware for its own good at times. And then, like, the major weakness for me was just, like, I'm surprised there wasn't a fucking planet-killing Death Star at the end. It was like, do we really need to, like, have the exact same scenes as the first movie so often?
No, you just play scenes from the old movie in the new movie.
That, too. It just didn't make... It's one of those things where, like, I feel like, you know, just to kind of gripe a little bit.
Please.
It's one of those things where, like, you're in...
Disclosure, folks, there's going to be some gripes in this episode.
There's going to be some gripes. I don't know, like, I just look back at when I was a teenager in high school or something, and whether I was the culprit or not, I don't think I was, but there's always, like I had this buddy who was just, like, a turbo nerd, and would, you know, he would write scripts for the X-Files and send it in, because anybody could do that, and you might get, or, like, write scripts for Star Trek and send them in, or whatever, you know, and just, like, when you're 16 or something, like, you don't know fucking anything about anything.
Mm-hmm.
But you could, like, write a movie like this and be like, I'm going to meta-reference the meta-references of the meta-references, and that's the point, you know? And it's just like, the point of recreating the same fight scenes as the first movie is because it's referencing the reference. And you're like, all right, dude, you know?
Yeah, right.
And there's definitely a bit of that sprinkled in here, so...
Sure.
I don't know. There were sprinklings of, like... good stuff. There were 3 scenes in particular where I got like little kind of butterfly moments where I was like, oh wow, yeah, cool. But
Jesus,
it was it was a bit of a fucking all over the place nostalgia fest. And, you know, maybe to close out the high level, it's when I was 18 and watched this for the first time, it was the future. It was like, this is the coolest fucking future, coolest sci-fi, craziest thing ever. And now it's like, it's not, it's the past. You know, it's just like, we've moved beyond the wow factor that the Matrix provided. The entire world and cinema has moved past it.
Yeah.
Hence maybe a big part of the not caring.
And you were 18 when you saw the original?
Oh, it was 1999, so I would have been, yeah, probably 18, 19.
Okay, right on. So, yeah, I was in my 20s. Yeah, I feel you. There's a lot of ways I can look at this, you know? Like, you kind of framed a bunch of different ones, Chad. Like, I could do the same thing, you know? Like, I feel all of the ones you're saying, you know? And Ben, too, you know? Like, there's a lot of ways it could be looked at. I was trying to just kind of enjoy it, you know, as much as I could, I guess. And
it had a bit of heart at times.
Yeah. I mean, look, in the beginning, I was just like straight away, I was just like, holy shit, this is just no. I was like, this is dumb, you know? And then as the sweater started to unravel, like, I was like, okay, there's something here. And like, then I saw like the Morpheus guy and I was like, oh God, I'm going to claw my eyeballs out. And then, you know, we got a little bit more unraveling and I was like, okay, there's something here. Like, there's something interesting here, you know? So I see what you're saying, you know, like it was, I knew about Star Wars Kid before Star Wars Kid knew about Star Wars Kid, you know?
There's a bit of that.
And then another death. Yeah. Yeah. Like, that's what I mean by like your meta comment, you know? I'm going to make all the meta references because they're referencing the references of the meta, you know? It's like, ugh, God, I get it, for sure.
I still kind of enjoyed it, but... It's not a I won't revisit it probably ever again, but
I will probably watch this movie one more time, and that may be it. You know, like it's not like it's so lore inducing that I'm like, oh, you know, like I just started watching the beginning of the second one, like kind of you know, half-heartedly here as I was coming up to showtime, and I was like, again, I was like, why do they hate this movie so much, you know? And I was just kind of like, I kind of get it, because I watched the first one the other night, and I was just like, God damn, this is good, man. But I even like now watching the first one, I kind of was like, you know, I felt like at times it almost jumped too quick, you know,
Yeah.
in story, you know, from like story point to story point, you know. It was just like, oh, all of a sudden now we're ready for the ultimate mission with the guns, you know. Like, I don't know.
it doesn't hold up as well, but it still holds up pretty damn good.
Yes, it doesn't hold up as well, but when I'm saying that, I'm meaning like from the 100% it was sitting at down to maybe like 98 or 97. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a long drop, you know. It's still an incredible movie. It's still groundbreaking sci-fi, all of that. Keanu, like the cast is amazing, all that stuff, you know. But you know, the second one, when I started watching the second one, I was like, maybe I do kind of get why they don't like this movie now, you know. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. You know, you were just saying a second ago about the opening scene. Like you get dropped into the Mehtrix movie again. You're like, okay, cool. What's this about? And it's like, wait, they're remaking the opening scene shot for shot with different people. Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, right.
Like, it's an interesting way to start it. And I think maybe to Benny's point, like maybe there's a bit of intentional fuckery, and then maybe there's also a bit of the meta points at the meta of the meta, you know?
I mean, do you think, I mean, just to hang on like what Betty said for a second, like, do you think it could have intentionally been made bad? I mean, because like these guys make pretty cerebral movies, man. And one thing I could definitely say about the second and the third film is that they're like super heavy on like not socialism, sociology and psychology and philosophy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is, I think, the thing that makes me like those movies, you know?
Yeah. They definitely aren't afraid to make really weird stuff, you know, like
Sure.
tackling Cloud Atlas was a pretty big thing to do. The book is amazing, and the movie,
Definitely.
it's a very difficult adaptation. I mean, even fucking Speed Racer, dude, like that one got completely skewered, but it was true to the source material.
True to form.
They just, it seems like they don't give a fuck. They'll make whatever and just be like, if you don't like it, fuck you. It's like, okay.
Yeah, well, and I admire that to a degree. I mean, I think that you know, I've seen Cloud Atlas many times. I really, really like that movie because I really like the story, and I think the acting's fantastic. I think the biggest drawback to that movie is the makeup is pretty terrible, but beyond that, it's pretty damn good.
And to answer your question here, like, do I think this was made shitty on purpose? Maybe. As I said, I didn't know about the Warner Brothers wanting to make a movie and saying they were going to go with or without the Wachowskis, but
Is that true?
it is true. And
Oh man, okay.
so, like, you know, the Wachowskis said no over and over and over again to every offer, and then their parents and one of their close friends died in sequence, and that, like, grief Karga was such that Lana decided to sign on as a way of processing the grief and kind of bringing back old characters and stuff. And like, I have a certain amount of understanding and empathy for that.
Sure.
And through that lens, like her being like, I'm just going to make a movie. I don't particularly care, you know, if it's fucking Shakespeare or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like through that lens, it's like, yes, I can agree with the, like, didn't care if it was great or not great. Just wanted to process this grief and surround herself with quote unquote family, like all of the people she worked with previously. But evidently Lily or whatever, I think it's Lily, sorry. Lily decided the opposite. Lily was like, I need to step away from filmmaking. I can't go back to the past. I've transitioned and like I've moved on with my life. Like I can't go backwards. And so it's interesting that both of the Wachowskis had like polar opposite reactions to doing it. So
Wow.
it's a nuanced answer, but like I think partially it was maybe not intentionally bad, but partially it was just like, don't care if it is bad. Don't care if it is self-referential and looking at its own belly button, you know?
Interesting.
I don't think that the cast were bad, you know. It's not there. It's that the actual in the movie itself, like the script itself is kind of self-sabotaging.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
And it's obvious that's obviously on purpose in my opinion. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, that's true.
I think at the heart of it, that's what I'm really talking about. It kind of, I get it, like we've been talking about this a lot lately, and the idea that you're going to, turn a new IP of some kind into a movie, whether it be a book or whether it be a reboot or a sequel or whatever, you're always going to encounter, like, there's just so many traps to fall into that it's almost impossible not to. Like, no matter what you do, you're probably going to piss somebody off.
Yeah.
No
and
doubt.
it seems to me like what the approach was here was to just set it, step in every pile of shit you possibly can.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting, but as a movie, I thought it was a lost opportunity. I mean, I would have rather just seen something that was like legit creative, even if it, it's, I get it when you're bringing back, Keanu and Carrie-Anne Moss, and, you can't just come up with something completely radically different, but I would have rather just seen something else, like they go through talking about how there was a civil war amongst the machines. Like, why not make a movie about that?
That would have been cool, man.
That would be fucking
I thought
cool.
I was super interested when they said that. Yeah.
Yeah. This was, I don't know. It just, I'm not sure who it's made for. It didn't, once I kind of like got the jig, I was just like, oh, all right, whatever.
Right.
I get it. You didn't want to do the movie. Now you're doing the movie, but instead of like, instead of trying to give us something unique and interesting, you're just going to kind of rehash the same thing and be self-referential and be meta and just, so.
And scroll through all the forums and find all of the meta arguments and answer those questions, like the red pill, blue pill shit in the beginning where it was like, do I have a choice? Is this, like totally just like copy pasting off of some old forum. And then, well, that's not the ultimate. It's that there is no choice at all. And it's like, oh my fucking God. Like, are you fucking serious, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, that's interesting, Ben. I think that, go ahead.
It got really tedious as I was watching it.
A little
Like,
bit.
that's, I guess, my problem. Like, as I was watching it, I was just like, Jesus Christ, really? Like, it just seemed very tedious to me.
I still know Kung Fu.
Yeah, that was dumb. That was dumb. I did think the whole thing with like MPH.
I actually kind of laughed at that one.
Yeah, it was a chuckle.
Just because I found the initial one to be sort of infuriating,
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I think like the whole thing with like MPH and like, kind of rebuilding them, because I don't know if I liked the idea that they were some like key to the whole power source thing. I mean, I did like the concept that there's so much power and energy in love or a connection between two human beings. Like, I dug that. I don't know if I really bought the whole, like, this is the key to the power source. We can't survive without the two of you powering being like, the alpha batteries in the battery bank. Like, that was kind of dumb, man. But I did dig how, just some of the story elements there, like how, they remade them and they put their minds inside these, sort of, I guess you could say, deeper simulation somewhat, to kind of trick them into staying, like there was some coolness to that. There was some cleverness to that as well. And Smith, I kind of like what they did with him too. He was a little bit even more free form, and couldn't really tell where his loyalties lied. But then at the same time, he was a little bit too nebulous, and it was kind of like, what are you doing here? Like, why, why do you exist? Like,
it just kind of disappears too. Like, it's one of those threads that just sort of like evaporates.
Yeah, and then he shows up at the end again, and he's just like, hey, we are alike after all, but then we're not. Bang, bang, bang. Like, and then it was like zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, his sole purpose was just to be able to save Neo in that second bullet time I'm so SWAT cafe sequence.
So I'm so SWAT. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Totally, dude. And then, I mean, I do like, he kind of inhabits that kind of Joker principle of like, people that just want to see the world burn, in the sense of like, he was just kind of like wants the chaos to continue because that continues him to live, or allows him to continue existing, I kind of could dig that, but yeah.
Well, maybe that's a good little transition to the grandma's boy scenes where it's like,
Wait, what was that?
well, it's fucking Smith is Cheezel and Anderson is, you know what I mean? It's just like making video games, and then fucking JP comes in, and
I didn't even think about that.
dude, they have a shoot 'em up in the computer in the room. There's a whole bunch of like cubicles that all the other dudes are talking about jerking off in. Like it was straight up. Like
Yeah.
it's pretty funny.
Samantha Garson comes in and tries to tell them how to make their game.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, they're totally in Brain. They're in Brainasium for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely, dude. Yeah, you're right. I didn't think about that. I did like how they had, or he had convinced Neo almost that like he was crazy and that he was like having episodes, like that I bought into that, watching it the first time. And I was just kind of like, there were a couple moments in there. I was just like, is he really just nuts? Like, what is going on? Or is this all just a fantasy? Is none of it real? Like, so I did dig that, they laid it down well enough that I bought it,
Mm-hmm.
That
I bought into it, and I was like, I want to see what happens next. Go ahead.
That's what I found interesting about the first act is I was hoping desperately that was going to be the case, that this was going to be a different kind of exploration and the same kind of like, mind-bending stuff that the first Matrix movie put you through the first time you watched it, like I was hoping we'd have a chance of like, maybe using mental illness or something as a catapult to achieve that. And then it just didn't happen, like it just kind of turned back into the first movie.
Well, it went to a dumb direction of like, let's come up with some like technology that doesn't exist to like explain all this nonsense. You know what I mean? Like that part, I was just kind of like, I'm getting tired of that. Like,
yeah, I don't know.
When they're up on the stage, and he's like, this is like a super digital simulacrum, of the original thing that happened, and I was there, and I'm really made out of nanites, and like I was like,
Have a strawberry.
Yeah, but but at the same time, the thing that saved me, the thing that saved Morpheus for me was that he was this like digi thing, and like there was some cool technology concepts in there that I was like, okay, this is definitely cool. You know what I mean? And like the kind of the way some of those bots were like matriculated, from the Animatrix, like they had kind of like turned them to their side. And obviously there was this civil war, blah, blah, blah. The original Matrix 4 should have been about,
Yeah.
So those concepts were cool because I when the guy first was just like, I'm Morpheus, I was like, this is not going to happen. Like, I was like, no way. This guy does not have the acting acumen of Larry Fishburne. He doesn't have the presence of Larry Fishburne. He doesn't have anything of Larry Fish, dude. Like, this is never going to happen. And it wasn't happening until I realized that he was like a whatever he was, a cloud of nanites, or I didn't even remember what the hell that was called. But, then when I found out that, then I was like, okay, this is, that's kind of interesting and cool and different. You know what I mean? And like they could kind of interact with the real world and in the digital world, like that and that machines were, willingly coming to help like the humans. Like those concepts were really cool. Like, again, like what Ben said, like, why can't we see a movie about that? Like, like the Civil War and like that stuff happening. Like that would have been way better than like this kind of roller coaster loop-de-loop. Let's redo what we've already seen,
Yeah, I thought the nanite robots was fucking stupid. What I did like about Morpheus was that he was, this version of Morpheus was essentially created by Neo inside the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it was like he needed Morpheus, so he basically made him out of like his memories of Morpheus and, some bits of like Smith code or whatever.
Yeah.
So he's kind of a new thing, and so it worked for me. And I'm not sure what the actor's name is, but I thought he did a great job. Whereas the Smith guy, I felt nothing.
No.
Like nothing.
He was okay.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Barely.
Compared to
Hugo Weaving?
Hugo Weaving, it's such a
No, it's night and day.
yeah.
No,
I mean,
forget it,
Hugo
dude.
Weaving
There
was
is no
like
comparison.
scary,
Yeah.
Exactly, but that's what my comment and my high level was about the acting. It was just kind of like these, just no, like come on, like when she said bugs isn't bunny, I was like, I'm gonna shoot the TV or I'm gonna break something. Like that's when I was still in my like anger phase in the beginning. I was like, this is because in the beginning again it was like this remake.
Bugs, Warner Brothers reference. Bugs.
Oh, dude, that got me, man.
Yeah. I was like, come on, dude.
Bugs hunting around for dead Neo to try and resurrect him.
Yeah.
And then like the whole just I don't know, man. And then all of a sudden I was just like instantly tired of all like the dumb Matrix names, I was like, oh boy, Bugs and like what's your name? Like Bug and Laser Brain and like whatever. I just was like,
Laser,
come on,
Taserface.
Taserface.
Yeah. Exactly.
Dude, I'm looking at the IMDb now.
I know. Taserface.
One of the dudes' his Matrix name is Function, but it's spelled FUNKTIO with a strike through N. It's like, that is the most Matrixy fucking name I've ever seen.
Totally, dude. That is, we got to come up with Matrix names that are really good for ourselves.
All right.
God.
Should work something.
And Ben's is Taserface.
Should be.
I know. Taserface.
Ugh, God. All right, this is good. This is exactly what I thought this discussion could be. So, I want to just jump back for.
I'm leaning towards my Matrix name is Lap Dance, but it's LAPDANZ.
Oh, I love it. That's great.
And I just have like really tiny pieces of hair pasted to my forehead in like dude, I have to fucking
gold.
say again that like when I was 19 years old, the Matrix outfits were the coolest thing
everything.
ever, and they are the fucking dumbest shit in the world now. It's like, whoa, bro. Sweet, you went to the Matrix barber and got some fucking lightning bolt shaved in the side of your head? Cool, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, wait, can I borrow your glasses that have a giant bar through where your fucking eyes go?
I know, right?
That's so funny.
How much are haircuts in the Matrix?
They were like the opposite of the Chinese Triad gang guy glasses from Big Trouble in Little China, where it was
exactly.
all plastic, but it was just a little teeny slit that you could see through, right?
Yeah, totally.
These block your vision. It's like great, really good thinking, man.
I mean, it was funny. I definitely like, I don't know, I feel like I'm griping a little too hard. Like, I actually didn't kind of dig being back in the universe a bit, but it kept stumbling. It was like Trip running down a hill or something.
I did. I want to just jump back to an earlier comment for a
It
second.
felt like an hour and a half of Neo like being a meat shield, basically.
Yeah, just constantly stopping
Yeah.
bullets.
Neo just stopping bullets and bombs and what have you, and force pushing people.
Hey man, can you still fly? That's not gonna happen.
I like how the ground like rippled, and then he just like did like a lame little hop.
But
Yeah, it was funny.
it was super meta
once,
too,
like,
because if you've ever seen the like Avengers behind the scenes, like that's how they shoot it, and then they obviously cut the bit out where it's a little teeny hop and Digi
Yeah,
in an
sure.
awesome flight. Like that was funny.
Yeah, that is funny, man. I mean, one thing I got to say, like I guess a disclosure is that like this does not like knock Keanu down in any way for me.
No,
like he has been on this like meteoric rise, I think, in the last like 5 to 10 years, and he's been doing some of his best work ever. John Wick, whatever. And this doesn't knock it down a peg at all for me.
No.
Because he like whatever happened here, it's not his fault. Like he brought it, dude, all the way.
The man can do no wrong. After Little Buddha, there's nothing he can do.
Yeah. I mean, he's just good like that, man. So, I think, but again, just to jump back to an earlier comment, like the whole thing about I didn't know that whole bit about Warner Brothers saying like, "Oh, we're gonna do it whether you want to or not." Like, I wonder if it was like the movie doesn't feel like she was like, "I've got more story to tell." Like, I never told the real end of the story, or there's more to tell here that I'm dying to get out. Like sometimes storytellers, filmmakers, whatever. Rightists. Wow, that's a good one, dude. I haven't had a good one like that in a while, dude. Rightists and filmmakers will, they'll have more story to tell. So then they'll write another chapter or another book or make another film or whatever. But like that's not the feeling that I get here. And if that statement is true, it could be possible that she was like, you know what? If they make this movie, it is going to be so terrible and it's going to completely deep six everything we worked to build before. I'll just take a grenade and chuck it in there and then dive in after it. You know what I mean? Like I'd rather do it myself, So I could see that, man,
There was an interview with her at the premiere, I think. And it was kind of interesting because she talked a bit about, her parents, et cetera, the stuff we covered earlier. But one thing in particular is one of the dudes, it was like an interview with one of the guys who was from IGN or something. And he's like, hey, would you ever get involved with making a game? Because the movie's got a game in it and blah, blah, blah. You had a game back in the day. And her response was like, essentially it was like, I don't care about the game. I care about working with people. And so like... I get the vibe that like she was most interested in working with the people that she made the Mehtrix with back in the day and less interested in protecting the IP.
Yeah, interesting.
And so maybe that's why the IP isn't taking it seriously here. She was just more interested in making something with people than she was with what the thing was that was being made. Which, like,
wow. I like that's interesting.
I don't know. It kind of like you might be able to resonate with this more than me, Benny. But I've always thought about like musicians who have to play the same songs over and over again. You get sick of it after a while, and I could totally see a world where you'd be like you'd want to tear down your previous work because you're just so sick of singing the same shit. But I don't know. I thought it was an interesting comment about she just wanted to work with people that she loved as opposed to being super obsessed with the IP like a George Lucas, maybe.
I like that, actually. I think that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. If it was helpful for her, cathartic or whatever, to work with Keanu again and company and do the movie, that's great. It just didn't resonate with me, like just trying to figure out whether NPH was trying to be funny or whether it was just bad, like the writing was just bad, you know what I mean? Like, or whether he was supposed to be funny or not, because he was, or was he supposed to be scary?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It was just like wrestling with shit like that as I was watching it just became more and more tedious and aggravating. And I just like, I was out of the movie completely and outside of it, just kind of being like, oh, okay, I see what this is. Like it
right.
I don't know if that was supposed to be the mind fuck in this one, but it just wasn't. It just didn't. It didn't hit. It didn't slap.
Didn't slap. Yeah, totally.
Did not slap.
Didn't slap, baby.
It didn't offend per se. It just didn't really do it. Yeah, it was like, come on. I felt like somebody was nagging me. Something was just kept nagging me like through 90% of the film, or like 2/3 of the film or whatever. So yeah.
What did you guys think of the showing old footage stuff?
Good question. I hated it.
Hated it.
Like, I hated it. 2 snaps and a twist. I got I really didn't care for it. And then when I realized that, like, he was framing it as like a game, I was like, okay, well, that's kind of cool and interesting, And so that made me kind of like it. But at the same time, I was just like, it always feels like you're reaching because you don't really have anything, And I know that I already said that there was some cool, interesting story elements. And like, I think that they did an admirable job of creating something different that wasn't a terrible 20-year later rehash. That always feels like you're reaching, when you're showing like the old footage, it's just like, come on, dude. Like, Just like, you don't need to lean on the old thing. I mean, Christ, we just talked about this in fucking Solo, man. You know, like, why is it that we need little mentions from the original trilogy made into a whole movie? Like, I so have gotten more on board with that since we had that discussion. Like, now that's all I think about Solo, you know, like it's kind of the same thing. It's just like, well, I don't need a crutch to the past. You know what I mean? Just make the story, man. You know, that's it.
Did the throwbacks footage from the first one feed the fire for you, Benny, or were you just kind of like shrug, don't give a fuck?
Fire of hatred.
It didn't. I don't know. I don't even know. How's that?
There you go.
It seemed like something the movie would do.
That's fair.
There you go.
Does that make sense?
It's very, very accurate.
It does. I hadn't thought of it like that at the time, like this at the time, but
like I was already rolling my eyes.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You know,
so you just rolled them a little more.
Yeah, they just rolled all the way back in your head.
They couldn't roll anymore. So they've already pulled over.
You can't
pull over
anymore.
further.
Exactly.
Kind of like when Morpheus's eyes rolled back in his head in the first film.
There you go.
The good film.
I have like certain things that just annoy the fuck out of me in any movie, which we've touched on from time to time, which includes upside down cameras and blood or mud splashing on the camera lens. And I really hate it when a movie is like a thinker of a movie, you know, like an Ex Machina or something that you're like supposed to pay attention to and watch a couple times, and then there's like the big reveal happens and then it cuts to someone like whispering the thing, so it's like, do you remember this really important thing we said 5 minutes ago? It's
yeah.
Yes, I do. I watched the fucking movie, you dickhead, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like this is a bit of that, where it's just like, we made a movie 20 years ago. Have you seen it? It's like, yeah, dude, I've seen it fucking 45 times. Like,
yeah.
You don't need to show me those scenes alongside the scenes that are exactly the same, because I get the reference, you know? But it was, I don't know if I've seen that much before. It was an awful lot of it. I mean, you guys might have seen some movies that do that, but
yeah,
I don't know if I've ever seen a 20-year callback like that over and over again.
Yeah, it was dumb. That was dumb, dude. Good point. Fun fact, I think I mentioned this in another episode, but I'll say it again. I did meet Joey Pants right around the time he made this movie.
Oh, yeah?
I made the original, I mean. Cypher,
yeah. He evidently wrote in saying he wanted to reprise, and they never wrote him back, so.
Hey.
Same with Morpheus.
Was the Merovingian the original actor? I couldn't tell because he looked like a bloody, dirty bum.
Yeah, Rufio.
Yeah, he was great. I loved him in the original.
Rufio. Yeah, totally.
The Merv, that was funny.
That was another example though of like, it was meant to be funny that he was just standing on the balcony yelling. But first viewing of it, I was just like, dude, what the fuck? Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. I did like that there was those two dready, pale ghost twins were not there. If I had seen those two, I would have been like, oh my goodness, something's going to get broken.
They're over at Connor's house.
Right.
So they should have just fucking leaned into it and did that, you know? I mean.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Or the keymaker dude.
I would have been stoked to see him, especially when they went into that key shop. I was like, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't should we talk about some of the things we liked?
I feel like we have throughout.
All right, okay. Maybe like a special bits and bobs we liked section. I don't know.
I will recuse myself from that section.
I will recuse myself from the positive comments. I did like the that fight scene with the exiles, you know, in that whatever old old wood scaffolding warehouse, like, you know. I thought that fight scene was pretty good. And there was some cool things that happened there, like Neo kind of woke up and got into it again, you know.
Yeah. It turned into the basement fight.
That's when he was like, I still know Kung Fu. and him and Smith kind of going at it. And I didn't like the force pushing thing. Like, I didn't mind that because it felt like an extension of the abilities that he had already achieved in the other films, like a natural progression. So I was like cool with that, and I really liked the fight in the floating dojo.
It just wasn't exciting, like.
No, I know.
These movies were about their fucking fight scenes, and I just felt like these were,
yeah.
I mean, actors being a little bit older was standing, and honestly, like, that doesn't really count for Keanu. He's still killing it in most movies.
Totally,
so,
dude.
I mean, unless he just suddenly went feeble, I don't know. But, just resolving to like, that's
I
will stop you, bullets.
I will stop you, bullets.
I will stop you, Agent Smith.
I will stop you, evil robots.
I think that
I will push you away.
They were painted
Hang
into
on,
a corner.
Trinity. Now is a perfect time to break and talk about breakfast sausages.
Ow, that hurt. Stop bothering me.
Such frivolity. I love it. Keanu's Noises by Ben.
From an action movie standpoint, there's nowhere for the Matrix to go. Action movies have moved beyond the Matrix, and the Matrix reinvented action in the 90s.
Totally.
Like, I think John Wick is the spiritual successor for the Matrix, It took like the wire work, Yuen Wu Ping fight choreography, and like moved into the kind of gung fu stuff,
But like gun fu on another level. That's what Wick was all about.
Yeah, but
in a great way.
There's like so many films copied the Matrix that it's tired to see that type of fighting now, I find. Like, even just some of the like hallway running shit, it was like, is this the Matrix or is this Inception? Like, fucking you're just seeing the same shit over and over.
Yeah, right.
I didn't expect them to, reinvent the wheel here. I just expected par, and I didn't get it.
That's fair.
I'm expecting par, and
but
I'm
I guess my
it.
point is that I think that they can't get to par.
Yeah, they can.
In a way, because you can't get back up to that level of excitement because you've seen it so many times. It's like, cool, I've seen it. Like,
it's more stylistic. It's the shaky cameras and the bullshit. Like, they just didn't do it like they did it before.
Well, also, Ben, like, I mean, clearly they didn't have Yin.
The fighting wasn't as good, and the way they portrayed the fighting, the way they filmed the fighting, was not as
like
good.
the Yuen Wu Ping factor was missing clearly in this particular movie. I mean, like, they sort of recreated it in some scenes, but not really.
Yeah, like you mentioned earlier, the dojo scene, which I wasn't massive on, but
I liked it. I mean, it was somewhat of again, throwback to the original.
Here we go again.
Yeah, it was the here we go again.
Yeah, it was the here we go
comes
again.
the Death Star.
I guess,
Yeah.
you know what, let me distill that down a leg. I liked, because at that point we knew that, like, this Morpheus was like a nanite friend that Neo had created, and he was trying to help him, and I dug the, like, punching the floor, like, making the whole shit explode kind of. So I think that's really more what I mean than anything, because it was just like, here we go again. And now that you've said all that about the warehouse rickety scaffolding, a lot of dust going on in there too, by the way. Another gripe of mine.
So dusty.
Well, it was dusty. I mean, like, come on. And now I don't really like that scene as much. I liked the Merovingians screaming like a freaking total angry homeless person, but
Oh, dude, I found the Merovingians so annoying in the second or third movie, or whichever one he was in, so it was kind of fitting that he was annoying in this one.
I loved him because he played a person like that to a T. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was what was great about the Merv, dude,
I guess.
I'm trying to think what else I really liked. I definitely did not like, even though I said we'd talk about positive things, I did not like the World War Z ending. That was just...
There was some interesting bits in there.
Yeah, I mean, I like that Neo was, like, dialing in his powers, and I do like... but aside from that, like, I was just kind of like, okay, here come all the bodies, and, like, whatever. Let's get this over with.
Yeah. I feel like a movie would have been I thought at the end they were going to jump off and die, Trinity and Neo. And I think that would have been better.
I did too. And there was some modicum of satisfaction when they flew back in and just beat the crap out of NPH, you know.
For being misogynist or whatever.
And a petulant child, you know, but, you know, I don't know. I think, like, one thing I got to say that I did like was that, you know, and again, this was really the only point where they kind of went with a broader, more philosophical concept, you know, was the idea of the bond between the two people. Like, I liked that. And I liked that it was Neo and Trinity, and, you know, there's such great actors that they were able to, you know, convey that connection there. You know what I mean? And I like that element of it.
It was interesting. It was interesting that
I almost liked it more than I did in the other movies. You know, where it was like, oh, Neo, we're so connected. We have to be together.
Let's go to the
Where are
rave.
you can't die. You have to reach into my heart and take the bullet out.
Yeah.
You know, like some of that, it was a little heavy-handed in the other films, you know? So I liked that it felt like something deeper and more, I don't know what I'm looking for word-wise here, but, you know, like that. I appreciated that, I guess, about this one.
I liked that they called her Tiffany.
What about Chad?
That was great.
I love that his name was Chad, firstly.
That was good. Total takedown of the whole incel thing. Chad's and it's not Tiffany in the whole incel thing though, isn't it? It's like,
what's the incel thing? What is that?
All the incel dudes that like are, you know, hate women or whatever, and the guys that get all the girls are called Chads, and then the girls that are all like total sleazebags and sluts are called, I think, maybe Tiffany's or something.
No, Karens, right? No, or is that something?
I don't know. Are they Karens?
I think so. But Chad is like a total
No, Karens are women that like want to talk to the manager.
Yeah,
right. Totally.
I love that
That's
term.
a Karen.
It's so funny. As a Chad, I'm totally okay with the Karen thing. I think it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant, man. But Chad was like the prototypical broy douchebag dad, you know. Like,
but did you get the nugget about Chad?
No.
That is a gentleman by the name of Chad, who is the director of John Wick, the stunt coordinator, who was formerly Neo's stunt double in the original Matrix.
What?
So in a way, Tiffany was married to Neo.
Dude, that is a great nugget, brother.
Yeah, that's the director of John Wick.
No shit. Wow. Awesome, man.
Which is pretty wild.
Very. Love it, man.
But he was super broy, dude. He broed it up.
He did bro it out.
You probably just liked him because he had a vest on.
I do like vests. I was not nuts about his particular choice of vest, but I do like vests.
You liked it. You wanted it.
I do. And we do have, at the place where I work, there are a lot of men there, and there's a lot of bro out sessions that happen.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So sometimes I'm inundated with broiness, you know, so that was on my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Bro.
Sorry, in my purview. Bros.
Bro.
Can we talk about the, speaking of the simulate scenes, the fucking
Simulate. Nice.
Neo's fucking right-hand man, the dude from Totally Grandma's Boyed Out. It was
It kind of was like it was kind of like if Nick Swardson and Jonah Hill had a love child, like that would literally be the kid, because like he almost.
And what's
looks
that
like
kid? What's the dude from Silicon Valley? The fucking Aviato. He totally gave me those vibes too. You know what I'm talking about, Benny?
What? The dude from Deadpool.
Yeah.
Hey, let me Google that for you.
You can probably find some IMDb nuggets on there.
Yeah, there you go.
But he was just like, hey, bro, all that you've done for me, I'm going to go do this for you. It's just like, I fucking hated those guys. And then like the Let's Make the Matrix, and they're all sitting around the table being like, it's about the gray space and the WTH moments.
Oh my god, yeah, that was anger inducing.
Fucking, it was obviously intentionally like poking fun at itself, but I hated that.
Yeah, I did too. And then of course there was like, you know, like the brainy, you know, Indian or Pakistani guy, and
yeah,
I don't know, it was just so. I mean, that was probably intentional.
It was totally intentional, but It was
But
cringy.
but I mean, come on, dude, give it to me. Like that dude totally looks like a perfect amalgamation of Jonah Hill and Nick Swardson.
He does,
Like
man.
if they had a
Yeah.
child, that would literally what the child would look like.
Yeah, no doubt.
That was Ehrlich Bachman, as played by T.J. Miller.
Thank
There
you.
you
Thank
go.
you.
TJ Miller, dude. TJ's great.
He's had a bit of a hard time recently, but he's funny.
Has he?
A little
he
bit.
fell apart.
Why? What's that? What happened? Can we take a little cul-de-sac on TJ? I need to know.
I think he just like has gained a rep for being a prick and potentially doing shitty things.
Ah, dude, that's such a bummer, man.
Nah, whatever. Clean up your act, TJ.
Yeah, TJ, come on, dude. We think you're good.
I kind of feel you on the Neo Trinity
Love
connection stuff. Like it was just the
Mm.
whole first trilogy is just hero worshiping the Neo hero, and then I think it's pretty clear that both of the Wachowskis have transitioned and feel differently about themselves, or maybe feel more like themselves, however you want to frame that, and
Sure.
always had like massive amounts of love for powerful women like Trinity and the Merovingians. What was the Merovingians' sidekick? Monica Bellucci. What was the
Ooh,
character
Monica
name? I can't
Bellucci.
remember.
What was her name?
But clearly there was a lot of like interest in that type of feminine trope. And so like Trinity being the one in this movie, like it makes sense from a where Lana was at in her life and grieving, et cetera, et cetera. But
Sure.
I think to Ben's point earlier, it's like, who is this for? I think this movie was made for Lana Wachowski. I don't think it was made for anybody else, Which, like, I'm kind of okay with, and, like, I enjoyed it at
I'm
parts.
okay with
but
that, for sure.
I definitely think that was I think that's a reasonable thing to say. And it's not, I'm not trying to be shitty about it. I just feel like that's probably why it stumbles so much, is because it's really just one person made it for themselves as a form of, resolving the problems they were having in their lives or something.
Yeah, hey, I'm fine with that, man. And like, I mean, her and her sibling, they created the whole thing. So as far as I'm concerned, it's like, you do what you want, man.
Yeah, light it on fire.
People are
I don't
gonna
give a
like
fuck.
it, they don't like it, like whatever.
Mm.
What? I want to know why you guys hate the other two movies so much.
We've talked about it a bunch of times, man.
Have we? Well, just give me a quick refresher, so I'll shut up.
Mainly, like, you didn't like, the Clone Wars. You didn't want to see that shit.
Yeah.
Or, you
Oh,
heard
that's
about
right.
it and you were like, oh, that's cool. And then you saw it and you're like, oh, all right. That's all, It's about ruining your imagination, your vision of what something was.
All right, let me ask you a different question, because Ben,
With a bunch of sweaty people in a cave and Morpheus screaming machines.
Can I get a machines in here?
Motion.
Can I get a 100 years? For 100 years!
It's so much less dramatic than we ever do it. It's just like literally machines.
Yeah, but Andy Dick goes
It's like,
super dramatic.
machines!
I just like the fact that they got Andy Dick to do that was just so perfect. What can we expect at the orgy, Morpheus? Just like
It was so
he's got like a
great.
fucking pacifier in his mouth and glow sticks and fucking dready pom poms. Oh god, it's
That was
just
great. That was so
it's
great.
perfection, man.
Yeah, it was perfection, dude.
Oh my god, there's Morpheus! Oh, I love you, Morpheus! Zion! Hear me!
It was kind of like, it was similar like to when Jack Black was playing the dwarf in the Lord of the Rings one.
I don't know if I saw it. I mean, I need to see that one again.
Oh my dude, the ring was a cock ring. That was the best part. He pulls his pants down and there's the ring around his Johnson. It was so great. Similar flavor there. Anyway, okay, fine. Let me ask you guys this question. What would you rather have seen in the second and the third movie? Like if it's that concept of like, we don't need to see the Clone Wars, like what do you think would have been better to do there?
It's a tough one.
Nothing.
Yeah, probably. At this stage, I think the movie would be fucking legendary. Like, considered one of the greatest movies in the pantheon of all time if there was no other Matrix movies. So
Okay, yeah.
I think
I'm
that's
with
the correct answer.
because they could have just left it at the end with the phone booth scene and the Rage Against the Machine. That would have been great.
Yeah.
Dude, I was so fucking pumped walking out of the theater seeing that the first time. I was just like, holy shit, man. And
Yeah.
what are you ever going to do to thread that needle.
You're
Like
not.
you're just setting yourself
You're
up
not.
for failure.
It was very, very like prequelitis, like whatever you do, or really sequilogy
Yeah.
itis. Like you, no matter what you do, you're damned.
I don't know. I mean, what can you do? I don't think you could do it well necessarily, but like it would need to be something like, let's just call it a trilogy where
Don't call it a comeback.
yeah, exactly. I've been here for years. In true Hollywood format, the good guys have to win at the end of the trilogy because otherwise you're not going to get funded. And the end of the trilogy is like taking down the machine empire in the real world. I think they went with the humans are so far down the oppression thing that there's no way they can achieve even a modicum of victory. And it's just like they had to have fucking cave raves and shit. But the whole fucking second and third movie for me just seemed like they were given a bunch of money to make more stuff. And they were like, fuck, all right, well, let's like... it felt like a level of playing Doom or Quake or something where you're like, this game is so much fun, but it's like, go get the red key to open the red door and then the yellow key to open the yellow door. And it's just like, this is fucking boring, dude.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think Ben's answer is right. There shouldn't have been another
I think, yeah.
movie. Maybe it's just like Matrix and Animatrix and that's it.
Yeah, and I did like like I said, I think the strongest point of the second and the third film are like when they're really kind of tackling those philosophical and sociological concepts.
Sure.
Like that stuff was very
It was heady.
thought-inducing. Yeah, exactly. But beyond that, like again, like I watched the opening, and. It was a little hammy, like a lot of these like new actors that were in this one were like so hammy. I think that's what it is about like that was my comment from the high level. It was like a lot of these actors are just so super hammy and it's just like, you don't need to be hammy. Just play the part straight, like everything doesn't have to be tongue in cheek,
Yeah.
And the whole like, then we start with the whole like, dude, I know this is weird, but like I've studied you my whole life and you're like a legend. Like, can I, like I was like, come on.
Yeah.
Do we really need to like, no, we don't. One thing I did think was super cool was like they had that like portal that went to Io and they had created this like livable environment and city like under the crust of the ice on another planet. Like that was cool. Was it for this movie? Maybe a little bit too much. I'm not quite sure, but I definitely thought that was a cool concept.
Yeah. Well, I'm hung up on under the crust of the ice on another planet. What the fuck are you talking about?
That's where they were, dude, when they went to see Niobe. They were on Io. It's a moon that orbits fucking Jupiter or Saturn.
I don't think they were on Io.
It's just the name of the city.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought that for a second too, Ben.
It's a Zion without the Z in the end. It's also 1 and 0. It's also input-output.
Okay, fair enough. But then where did the whole thing with the ice come from?
Yeah, I don't think it was on Io, but I mean, other than that like minor thing, like they were trying to make a habitable environment and they had to leave Zion.
But you see how my mind could easily make that leap. I mean,
Sure. I'm not saying you're an asshole for making the leap. I just didn't make the same leap.
Yeah, at first I thought it was just like a, one of those like, holographic like walls like, Batman would have and like you drive through and like that's how, they're hidden.
You're in Zion again.
But then like when she said Io, I was like, are they on another planet? Like that would be sick.
It would be cool, but
Was Io on Io?
Very funny. I think, yeah, okay. All right, well, whatever. I'm probably wrong. I don't have the energy to pull up IMDb, nor do I care. Do we want to do any more bits and bobs, or do you want to just wrap this up? I know Ben does.
I think the digital or makeup aging of Niobe was done pretty well. Jada Pinkett Smith.
Yeah, I did too. I don't know. I still, to this day, my favorite young actor doing an old performance is fucking
Cap?
Yeah, hands down. Best one I've seen, dude. I really, really think that, my God, why can't I think of the actor's name?
Chris Evans.
Thank you. Chris Evans just totally nailed that, man. But Niobe was, I mean, it was good to see Niobe, like, as a character, you know, and she was cantankerous and all that, and that was great. And, like, you know, the crew was, like, so rebellious and blah, 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 like, you know.
It's
whatever.
kind of a nothing burger type of thing. Put him in prison. And 10 seconds later, it's like, hey, you want to get out of prison?
Yeah, well, we knew you'd escape. That's why we put you there. It's like, why did any of this happen? You know what I mean? Like,
Tedious.
I did like the whole integration with the weird digital nanite dude and all the little robots and stuff. Like, I thought that was cool. I would rather have seen a movie about that than, like, what we saw. Again, like Benny said in the beginning.
I saw a video about the day. It's actually a pretty good video on YouTube called, like, the day or the moment the Mehtrix died. And it basically says, like, the moment that they went to the rave in Mehtrix 2 or whatever was, and like Zion was when the franchise died, because the interesting parts of the series up until then was like the real world is a slog where they eat slop, and the Mehtrix is the place where they can bend reality, and it's really dangerous. And like just playing in that space was all you needed, and you didn't need this gigantic fucking Zion place where people can actually get rest and not be in danger per se, and blah, 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 blah. And I kind of feel like it's the same here, you know, like the IO thing. And I don't know, there's just like so much of the world that isn't necessary. And like,
sorry.
that's cool. The interesting thing is really like the moments in the Mehtrix were the interesting thing.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sorry. I was actually laughing because I remembered something that Niobe said that I thought was really funny.
And what was that?
It was when she goes, remember when we used
growing strawberries?
Yeah.
No, when she goes, remember when we used to eat that slop that tasted like rust?
Yeah.
I was like, that made me laugh, dude.
And then she's like, all right, knuckle up, let's go.
Yeah, right. Totally.
Yeah. Star Wars porridge, man.
Star Wars porridge, bro. There you have it, folks. Mehtrix 4. All right, NDR, let's go. Got no nuggets.
I got one. The man who plays Thomas Anderson's reflection is named Stephen Roy, and that's Carrie-Anne Moss's real husband, who is the father of their 3 kids.
Cool.
But the other nugget was the Chad John Wick one, which is better.
Pulling up IMDb quickly while nobody's watching so I can grab a quick nugget.
There's just not much to say about this one, to be honest.
There really isn't. If there was a narration on this show, that would be it.
I do actually want to throw one.
While Chad describes his nugget, Kev quickly goes on IMDb to grab a nugget before Chad notices.
I just want to throw one more non-nugget thing out there, which I think I really liked, and that was the scene where Neo and Trinity come out of the Mehtrix after they save Trinity, and it's Carrie-Anne Moss and Keanu with shaved heads looking at each other. I was really struck by just their actual age. And it was really surreal and interesting to see both Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss, like 20 years older, looking 20 years older, you know, like Keanu's had long hair and a beard kind of thing going on for so long that it kind of disguises the fact that, you know, we've all grown 20 years older. And I was very struck by that, you know, like on the set of a ship, shaved head, you know, in the real world stuff. And it was a powerful image, even though it was probably unintentional.
Interesting. Fully admit that I did open IMDb and I just
didn't listen to anything I said.
No, I did listen.
Prepare yourselves, public, to hear a nugget read from the pages.
So while Chad was talking about that thing that he liked, I was reading nuggets.
The illustrious Internet Movie Database.
Well, I already did the narration of what I was going to do.
These nuggets.
Oh, Les, these nuggets are so good. While Chad describes his nugget to the audience, Kev quickly goes on IMDb and grabs a nugget while Chad isn't looking. And the nugget is, Hugo Weaving had planned to reprise his role as Agent Smith, but he had to bow out due to scheduling conflicts. So, there you go. I think it would have been way better with Smith.
Yeah, I wonder how they would have done it.
Smith would have been better with Smith.
Probably would have been that, like, memory bullshit, you know, like it's played by the same guy and then it turns into Weaving or something.
And who was that guy that played Smith?
He was, he's in Hamilton.
Don't care.
And he, which if you haven't seen Hamilton, it's really fucking good. And he also, he's also Kristoff from Frozen Kev.
Really?
Yep.
Huh. Never would have thought that.
He's an up and comer, even if you might not like his work. He's an up and comer.
Or his dumb face. No, I don't.
dummy, dumb.
You know, the actor that played that part in that movie, Dummy Dum Dum. Oh, right. Yes, him.
Uh-huh.
All right. Deaths. Only 3 recorded. I had a Star Wars death. I had a Star Wars death. And then we all had a Matrix death.
I had a Star Wars death, too.
Okay. That's more like it. That a boy.
Yeah, boy. You guys watched the first episode of Boba Fett?
I did.
Yes.
I could not resist.
Yes, I did.
I did not like Umbo was going on about that on the thread there, and I was like, and then I watched it and I was like, I don't understand what he's going on about.
I think that was a blessing, where like being told it's going to be not that great and then seeing it and being like, it was pretty good.
I thought it was good. It was like a nice setup, and then we got a little bit of a like, you know, what the hell actually happened to Boba Fett after the barge crashed. I was fine with that. I was like, cool, man.
We're definitely really close to the whole Clone Wars thing. Like, I hope we don't end up like regretting. I think Mando did so well because it's a new character.
Sure. I don't mind that we got to see him literally in the belly of the Sarlacc. Like, I was like, cool. That's different.
I wish they had spent the entirety of the episode, however long it was going to be, just fleshing out that story that they kept. I don't know, that they interrupt twice for the what's going on in the present sort of thing. Like, I wish they'd just done that, you know.
You mean the Sand People story?
Yeah, the whole thing. Just do the whole thing.
Yeah, that would have been cool, definitely.
For now, you know, and then jump to the future or whatever. But like,
sure,
they didn't even finish the story, so it's like clearly the whole series is going to be him thinking back to, you know, it's going to be like Kung Fu or something where like.
Yeah, right.
You know, he's constantly going back to thinking about his fucking, you know, sand person sensei or whatever, because somebody must teach him how to use that gaffy stick.
Or the lesser-known B-level Kung Fu, The Master with Lee Van Cleef from the 80s, which I was a huge fan of.
Lee Van Cleef.
Totally, dude. Lee Van Cleef alone is worth the price of admission on that one.
No doubt.
It's like Lone Wolf McQuaid.
Just saying Lee Van Cleef is worth the price.
Totally, right? I feel like it's like there should be like, you should say the word mustache right after that, just by fact of being.
Mustache.
Lee Van Cleef, mustache. Yeah, I will say that I was disappointed that there were no mustaches on any of the cool, Bugsy, dipshit, fun face, laser face, Matrix people.
Taserface.
Ratings?
Yeah, ratings. All right. Who wants to go first?
I'll go.
He said heavy-heartedly.
So I do think this movie is more enjoyable than the second and third one, which again is not saying much. I'd rather watch like a Care Bears fucking movie than those two movies. But I feel like this movie is definitely at best in borderline territory, and I've actually just eked it into meh territory with a 3.9. It is not as good as Die Hard 2, which is directly above it and defines the borderline movie.
Wow.
And it is better than Avengers Age of Ultron, which I'm just not a fan of that fucking all over the place shit show of a movie.
Wow.
So, yeah, I won't revisit this movie really. I think especially after watching it a second time yesterday, I just probably won't ever watch it again. I'm glad that it was able to provide some catharsis to Lana and maybe others in the production. It had a couple of glimmers in there, like actually like 2 or 3 times. I was like, oh wow, that's really super cool. But it was just like for 10 seconds. And it was, other than that, it was kind of popcorny and felt like a fan film. And I don't know. I think if you're a fan of the second and third one, you'll probably enjoy this. If you're a fan of The Matrix, you might enjoy it. And Ben's correct that they should have stopped at the first one.
Yeah, he is. I think, just to comment on that a little bit further, I also enjoyed the game on the PS2. I really think it was like The Matrix, the Animatrix, and the game. The game was cooler than the 2 movies. That's saying a lot. So, I don't know. Ben, you want to go?
Sure. I don't know. I'm going to give this one like a 4.
All right.
Does it need any? I think I've said it.
No, you did. Yeah, that's good. You're good. Yeah,
You might like
right.
it. You know, like
yeah.
if you like it, you like it. Great. I don't know. I found it to be tedious.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of all over the place, as were my thoughts on this film. I'm going to give it I don't know if this is generous or maybe too low, but I'm going to give it a 6. There were some things that I dug about it. I really, 3 things that I really liked were the utilizing the concept of the connection between two human beings, love, and also that they really seem to try to do something different with a story that's 20 years old. And I was legitimately, rooked by that. And then also there was some interesting things going on with like the technology and the machines and stuff like that. But, it's other than that, it's kind of all over the place. So, yeah, 6.
Not unreasonable.
With Ben's 4 and Chad's 5. That brings us to a total score of 15.
Nah, my score was a 3.9.
Sorry. Total score of 13.9.
I think considering how the algorithm works, your 3.9 was probably higher than my 4.
Probably, yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, 3.9 is probably in the 5-ish range, which is probably a bit generous. Probably has more to do with the fact that Age of Ultron just happened to be there, because fuck that movie. That said, though, like, Raw Deal, Next to Kin, Out for Justice are in that same space, and like Raw Deal's funny, but it's not like to be taken seriously. Maybe this isn't to be taken seriously either.
Well, maybe, but I would sit and watch Raw Deal any day of the week.
Yeah, but I don't think rewatchability is as much of a factor as just like quality of the piece. Maybe, I don't know.
Okay, fair enough, but maybe the quality of what's in there, like it's funny and it's good and it's Arnold. I don't know, fucking 80s.
Like Thor: The Dark World is a 3.6, for example.
That's a terrible movie.
Which is a fucking terrible movie. I'll put it to you this way.
Jesus.
It is, let's see. There are only 23 movies on the algorithm that are worse than this movie.
Out of
450 movies.
Okay, well then, yeah. Yeah, I mean, what if they did lean into it enough where it was actually a comedy?
Yeah, man, it probably, they could have pulled it off.
Now, that would have pissed some people off, but I might have actually enjoyed it.
We probably would have enjoyed it. You probably would have ended up with the same thing that you said about Wonder Woman 84, where they were trying to go campy and it just everyone didn't get it and got all pissy about it
because they didn't lean into it hard enough, is what Benny said.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Done it.
I don't know.
I would have appreciated someone taking a swing at it.
I think it would have been. I mean, I definitely would have appreciated that in an Andy Kaufman kind of way if they just made it into a comedy.
Well, I mean, I appreciated them taking a swing at Bebop. They took a swing at Bebop and went for it, and everyone got all boo fucking who about it. But like, I'm really like,
Sure.
I give props to the fact that they took a swing at it.
Well, not only that, but we all really enjoyed Bebop, and we all universally kind of agreed that like
It's worth the watch.
if you just take away, if you take the anime away, like that stands up there with like some great sci-fi action, of all time.
I wouldn't say that Bebop, the show, was great, but I definitely think it was solid and like a great swing and worth checking out. Everyone else was like fucking meh, fucking whale song about it.
Whale song.
You know what I mean? Like fuck.
Definitely.
This.
There's a good podcast called In This Episode Everybody Dies. They did an episode on that, Chad. You should check it out.
Oh yeah, okay. It's a fucking terrible name.
I know, it's too long too. All right, well, there you have it, folks. Mehtrix 4 Resurrections. Woo.
Yes.
Oh, shit. Slyclops.
My name is Lapdans.
Oh, sorry, Lapdans. What is your I need a Mehtrix name to take us out of this, man. You guys got to think of something quick. Lapdans. What is
Lapdans.
what's on deck for next week?
It keeps getting funnier.
It does.
Can we spell it with 4s?
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
With L4PD4NZ.
Dude,
Boom.
that is.
I love it.
Dude, if I ever play like an online MMO, that is my forever name.
I like it, man.
That's good.
What's my Matrix name?
I
Come
don't
on,
know.
get those creative brains churning, dude. Come on.
Well, it's going to have to be one of Jupiter's moons, I think.
Io. How about Europa? Anyway, whatever your name is, lap dance. Let's what's on deck for next week? It does keep getting funnier every time I say it.
Does. I just picture me in like a fucking leather corset or like a with like my freckly cleavage pouring out of the top of it.
And your patchy vag.
Yeah, dude. And I'll shave it into just a neck beard.
That would be a great item for possibly as a merch item, possibly for the fans for like next Christmas, is for us to dress up Matrix style and take a family photo.
That'd be pretty good.
That'd be great.
I thought you were going to say like a lap dance Funko Pop or something.
Ooh, that's even better, man. How about a EBD Funko Pops?
I love it.
I did wear my Brucemas sweater.
Did you?
Twice to work,
Nice.
and I got a lot of interesting feedback on it. A
Yeah?
lot of compliments on it as well.
Other people were not so into it.
A lot of people didn't know who it was. In fact, many people thought it was me. I was
the
like,
fuck do you think it
dude,
is?"
why on earth would I put my own face on a sweater, dude?
Well, yeah. Now I know what I'm getting you for next Christmas.
Both my brothers got it. My brother Jim got it immediately, and my brother Gene, it took him a minute, but I was at his house for like, I don't know, an hour and a half, and all of a sudden he was like, "Is that Bruce Willis?" Yep.
Yes, it is. That's
Yes,
great.
it is.
It was 106 degrees, so I didn't wear it
Of course.
this year, but I did wear it in July for Christmas in July. So
I always jumped on the chance to point out that it was a custom-made, ugly Christmas sweater crafted in Germany.
totally, bro.
You may not get one. There are only 3 in existence. That was my favorite part, I think.
Yeah.
They both definitely gushed when I showed them the Nakatomi Tower with tiny
Oh, yeah.
Hans Gruber falling out Easter egg on the back.
It's pretty good. I'm pretty proud of that one.
Yeah, that's good. It was really good. That is the
You should be
Easter
proud.
egg of all time.
I think
You should be proud, friend.
Thank you. My favorite is Kev not believing that it was custom. He's just like, what? Fucking no. You didn't fucking. That's not Hans Gruber. I'm like, dude, yep, it is.
Classic Kev, too.
No.
But it is. No, come on.
I kind of.
All of it's true, folks.
I don't know how I feel about it, but I'm kind of hung up on your Matrix name being Mutton for like mutton chops. I think it kind of fits.
I think it might. It's
not good. It's not great.
Can we get
but
Can we get a ruling, Jarhigo? What do you think? You're good with things like this.
I think it's a no, but it's getting there.
It's a contender. It's better than the nothing that I've thought of.
Yeah.
All right. So for the 12th time, lap dance. What are we doing next week?
We've got Brick on the schedule.
Well, there you have it, folks. Whatever. Stay tuned next week for Brick.
Whatever.
And whatever. We're so glad you joined us for Matrix 4.
The leather erections.
Yeah, exactly. So for laser, wait, is it Taserface or Laserface?
Both.
Taserface.
Taserface, lap dance, and Mutton saying, "So long. We'll see you in the Matrix."
With machines.
In hundreds of years.
For 100 years!
In hundreds of years.
Hundreds of Nordry. And that's going to wrap up this week's episode, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you'd like to support us, there's another, there's a number of great ways you can do that. You can rate us and review us on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also tell a friend to check out the show. That is super powerful. So please tell your friends. You can also support us directly on Patreon. That's right, chuck a buck. Patreon.com/EBD podcast. You can check us out on social media. We use the handle @EBD podcast everywhere. We spend a lot of time on Instagram. We'd love for you to come join us and perhaps start the conversation that we wish always happened on Instagram.
Yeah, blood.
You can find the show notes for this episode in your podcast app of choice or on our website, ebd.fm/episodes/139. Thanks again for joining us for Mehtrix. Folks, stay tuned next week as we tackle the Rian Johnson film, Brick. That's it. So long for now.
One for C-Lab, two for Troy, three for Wolverine to round out the trio. In this episode, everybody dies.
Beady, beady, beady.
Jabba-dibba-dabba-doo.